Hello. I see Carol. Hi, Carol. And Donna. Hello. I just went on a couple of minutes early just to see, and we'll see how this goes. I hope that, can you hear me and see me and all of that? So we'll see what happens. Crazy, crazy times. And I'm excited to be doing this. So I'll probably wait a few minutes for people to arrive and we'll see what happens. Okay, great. Thanks, Donna, for letting me know that you can hear and see. Just a forewarning that we left my cat door open. I was considering closing it, but I couldn't do that. I have one in here, and there might be cats that join us or a dog's head poking in at some time. So I hope you're all doing well. Crazy times, and you all know that I choose to not pay attention to the news. And of course, that's been a little different. I've been watching a little more. My daughter is still in the UK, and we're going to keep her there for now. We think travel might be worth. Hi, Jeannie. Um, so, anyway, we'll see how it goes with this one. As usual, when I teach, I do the first 15 minutes of every class where we start off with a guided meditation, and I plan to still do that. So what's important right now is that you get your props ready. I'd like us to be on the floor for a lot of this. And let me see. So I'm going to start officially. And let's see about props. I'm sitting in a chair, which I will be using my chair. And if you have a chair, that's good. And if you don't, that's okay also. If you don't have a chair, I'd like you to have something to hold on to, whether it is a whether it's the end of a chair or a sofa or something. When I teach in class, I'm there to watch you all, and it's really important to me. My number one priority for yoga is that we stay safe. And so now that you're at home, I don't want you to feel too safe that, oh, I could do this and try it in the middle of the room, especially when we do the standing work, because a lot of these poses are challenges to our balance, which is exactly what we're trying to do. And depending on where you're at in your balance, and every day it changes, that could be dangerous and you could fall or stumble. So make sure that you have your props. Let's go over what I'd like you to have. Okay. So I have a basket of props that I've gathered. Of course, I have a lot of traditional props that we use in the class. I have the bolster and the blocks and the straps, but I wanted to show you ways to use other things you may have at home, because it really doesn't matter what you use. The goal is comfort, and especially for the first part of class, when we're trying to calm the nervous system, stimulate that relaxation response, and take a break from what it is that we're surrounded by right now. So any pillows that you have, this is a pillow from a sofa that could be something for your head or for your knees if you didn't have a blanket. I think most of us have towels, so I'm going to assume that the towels are okay. So there's a blanket, a pillow. And then I also took off another pillow just to bring that in. With towels will take the place of our blanket, and towels are very beneficial, probably the most important prop, because this will take the place of the block. This will take place of the blanket, and it helps to add support in places that you may need support. So with the blanket, of course, there's many folds that we can do. And depending on what your needs are for your head or for your back, I'm going to give a couple of options. So I'm going to move my chair out of the way and come to the floor. Taking off my slippers. So I'm going to suggest that you begin with a towel. And the easiest and the most basic would be to take a towel and place the towel at the top of the mat so that when you lie down, you place your head on the towel. That is the most basic. And the legs would be flat. Then for those of you that have issues, especially in the hips and in the back, it's nice to have support of the legs. So then to bring a pillow would be another nice thing to do. So before I go down, I'll go down on the floor to show you, and then I'll sit up to guide you through the meditation. So before we go down, as always, because this is yoga for osteoporosis, the focus is for that. It's important not to round the spine. So when you come down, you want to reach away with one hand so that you can come all the way down onto the floor. And if you're going to use the pillow underneath your knees, you take the pillow and place it underneath your knees. So if that's something that you're going to do, place the pillow underneath your knees or just come with the legs extended and then open to the side and let the feet flop open. So whatever you're going to choose, find what's the best, most appropriate for you so that you come all the way down onto the floor. So at this point, you should be on the floor. I'm going to teach from a seated position. I'd like you to be lying all the way back and then bring your arms out to the sides. And from here, you can actually begin to bend the elbows. And then make sure that your wrists don't bend. So if your wrists bend, you have come too far. So be in a position that you start to feel some opening happening here in the chest. This is going to help to correct the posture. Normally very important, very osteoporosis, and very important today because what's going on with a lot of watching and stress, there's a lot of force from above, a lot of compressive force from above. So come onto the floor in a supine position, lying all the way back with your arms in scarecrow or all the way out to the side, whatever is the best for you. And if anyone is just joining us, find yourself on your mat on the floor with some kind of support. When you come all the way down, close your eyes and begin to connect to your breath. So closing the eyes, I want you to feel the space that you're in. So noticing the walls that are around you, noticing the floor beneath you, and just notice the space that you're in. For those of you that take classes with me, you could even imagine the space of the class. We all have our territorial spots, and we all know where each other is. And many of you that are in my Tuesday class are in this class right now. So feel that comfort and that habitual aspect of what the classes do for us. Notice if you hear any sounds around you. Notice if your awareness is outside of you, how far away from you it is. Notice if your thoughts are very far away, like in the past, or even farther away in the future. And just notice that and bring your awareness here to your breath. So let's soften a few things. Let's soften the eyes. Now that your eyes are closed, see if you can allow a little more relaxation to come into the eyes, feeling that the eyeballs sink a little deeper in the sockets. And bring your awareness to your facial muscles on either side of the nose. Can you soften, release, and let go of tension that we hold in our face? Bringing your awareness to your jaw, to your mouth. Let your lips touch, barely, and just gently wiggle your lower jaw side to side. Then you're going to take your tongue and you're going to place your tongue right where the teeth and the roof of the mouth meets. Ever so gently allow the tip of your tongue to land on that space. Bringing your awareness straight back to the back of the head, to the middle of the head. Feel the weight of your head as you release and you let go of holding your head up. Let your head sink into your blanket, your towel, or the floor. Wherever it's resting, let it rest. And bringing your awareness to your neck. Lengthening the head so that you feel the pressure in the back of the middle of the head. Lengthening the head, let the front of the neck be soft and let the back of the neck be soft. As if you could see your own neck, as if you're a witness to what your physical body looks like and what your physical body feels like. Bring your awareness to the next section of your spine, the thoracic, where all your ribs are attached. Feel the pressure of your upper back into the floor. Bring your awareness over to your left arm, to the back of the hand, to the wrist, to the forearm, to your elbow, your upper arm bone, and your shoulder. And let the weight of your left hand go. Let it be heavy. Feel it pressing into the floor. Bringing your awareness over to the right hand. Feel the back of the hand on the surface it's touching. The wrist, the right lower arm, the right elbow, the right upper arm, and the right shoulder. Let it go. Bringing your awareness back to your torso, coming down to the low back. Notice if your back is off the floor. For most of you, it will be. Bring your awareness to the glutes and feel the pressure of your glutes as they rest and are supported by the floor. Bring your awareness down your left leg, your left hip, left knee, left lower leg, left ankle, and left foot. And bring your awareness over to the right, as if you could see your right hip joint, your right upper thigh, the right knee, the right lower leg, the right ankle, and the right foot. And then bring your awareness to your left heel pressing into the floor. And then feel your right heel pressing into the floor. And just feel the weightlessness as you let go. You let your body weight be supported by the mat, by the floor. Just let go. And bringing your awareness up to your nostrils. Start to notice the temperature of the room as you take the breath in the nostrils. Feel the coolness of the air as it enters the perimeter of each nostril. And start to follow the breath into the lungs. Notice that cool temperature and then follow it in and notice your lungs expand and contract. So feel it happen And imagine that you could see it happening. So even though your eyes are closed, as if you're a witness to yourself, watching your chest rise and fall with breath, and feeling inside the rise and fall of your breath. And then notice where this breath is. For most of us, it's the upper chest. Start to expand your heart more when you breathe. Start to breathe out to the sides. Get wider. And let's start to bring the breath deeper. Bring the awareness to the lower ribs. Start to direct the movement here. As you breathe in, your lower ribs expand. And as you exhale, they contract back to the spine. Visualize that there's an inner tube around the middle of your torso, right where your lower ribs are. 1 inch space all the way around. So that as you breathe in, you expand into that 1 inch space, gently pressing into the inner tube all the way around your torso, the front, the sides, and the back. Go slow. As if you could see it happen and feeling it happen at the same time. Draw the breath deep into your body. Feel yourself expand all the way around. And then bring your awareness below that inner tube to the belly. Inner tube and below. Bring your breath even deeper into your body. Draw the breath in from the belly. Feel the belly rise. And then feel the belly fall. Take 5 more breaths like this, counting your own breaths, long, slow, deep breaths. Finishing up your last breath. And then allowing the breath to go back, giving your body the breath to breathe you. Bring your awareness down to your toes and to your fingers. Gently starting to move your fingers, starting to move your toes. And then bring that movement up into the ankles and the wrists, to the elbows and to the knees. And then gently bring the knees into the chest. Pull the knees deep into your chest. Feel your low back pressing into the floor when you do this. And rock side to side. Then rock all the way onto your right side. Unless you have an issue and you need to go to the left, come over to the right side. So I'm going to show you how to get up. Many of you know how, but for those of you that have not done this we want to make sure we don't use our back muscle to push away from the floor. And as we age and we lose our muscular strength, this is important to keep working side cradling your head in your right hand. Take your left hand, place your left hand on the floor and open your hands. You can use this left leg as a piston to help you. So I'm going to look down towards the floor. Use your left hand and your right elbow leading with your left shoulder, not your head, to push yourself away from the floor. And that's how we come up, especially if we have osteoporosis, not rounding this on the back. Okay, so if any of you arrived late, I hope that you have a blanket, at the minimum a blanket, or a towel, hand towel, or something. So I will teach with props, and then I'll try to teach for those of you that are here without props. Okay, so you're going to take your blanket. Let's blanket folded, so in case you were just arriving, blankets at the top. Let's come to do Navasana to begin. So I am going to imagine, I actually know that there's some of you on here that have not studied with me before. So just a visual about the core. I'm a very visual person. So I want you to visualize your core as an aluminum can, like an empty aluminum can. And there's a top, a bottom, and a cylinder shape to that. So you're going to visualize that, and that's in your body from your pelvic floor to where the diaphragm is, the whole side body. So you're going to visualize this can, the cylinder can, and when we contract our core, we draw inward to make an hourglass shape, and then we bring the top and the bottom towards each other. So hourglass shape, top and bottom towards each other. The lower ribs are a great guide for the upper core. So you press the upper ribs towards the spine to really activate that flexion in this part of the body and control the core. So let's come on to our tushy. We'll begin class by balancing. We'll balance on the lower part of our spine, which is the tailbone area. You're going to walk your feet back, and let's hold on to the tops of our thighs first. You're going to walk your feet back, and you're going to take your feet off the floor. So here you are in a balancing stance. Now this is where the core is going to come important. So that cylinder shape that is underneath your ribs and right where your legs attach to your body, and that whole section of your body is your aluminum can. And let's begin a little rocking action. So you're going to tip forward, toes touch the mat. And as you tip back, you really need to contract your can. And on the way back, if you think about pushing your low ribs towards your spine, that will really help to activate the core, which helps to stop you from falling all the way backwards. Letting the low part of your body, not rounding the upper spine, that's counterindicated when you have osteoporosis. It's the lower part of the body that we're moving. So from the lower ribs down is what really fires up to help you here. And then you're going to come all the way to holding. Let's take our hands underneath our thighs at this point. Really contracting your core, drawing inward. So really make that hourglass shape with your aluminum can, and top to bottom. Push the lower ribs strongly towards the spine. If you'd like to try to take your hands off, you could take one hand off or the other. If you'd like to try to straighten one leg, you could straighten a leg and or the other. Woo! Full expression of Navasana if you take your legs straight. Maybe it's there and maybe it's not. And it's always fun to try. So do what's right for you. You do you, everyone else is taken. No competition. And then bring yourself forward. So hopefully you feel that there's some heat generated here, and that is what we are working is the core. Okay, so before we go down, I want you to have a strap. And if you don't have a strap, I have a towel. So we're going to do some leg stretching. This is the forward folds that we do in the osteoporosis class. So a tea towel, depending on your range of motion, your flexibility in your legs, you may need a bath towel, or maybe you can get away with a tea towel. And if you don't have a strap, don't worry. I'll give you a modification without that. Okay? So let's come now. Here's the thing about coming down with osteoporosis. I said this on the way down. And for those of you that arrived late, The thing that's important with osteoporosis is we do not round this part of our spine, or our spine in particular. But half of all the fractures that occur with osteoporosis occur in the spine. And it's from posture and from improper bending, forward folding, bending down to get something. So it's really important that our movement, we learn that our movements have to be modified, especially if we have a diagnosis of osteoporosis. So when we come to the side, you reach away with this hand, that'll keep the shoulder blade will slide onto the back spine, keeping your spine nice and straight. And then let's come all the way down onto the floor. Knees are bent, feet are flat. So let's warm up the body first. Take your blanket or whatever you have, pillow underneath your head. Bring yourself to your mat. And then let's begin by warming up the hip joints. So you're going to gently allow the knees to start to go side to side. Keep the soles of the feet on the floor at first. Soles of the feet are on the floor. This will make sure that you don't start to rotate your pelvis and go into your low back. We're trying to warm up the hip joint and some of the lateral aspects of the body. So you're moving side to side. Then you can start going a little bigger. So you can inhale, let the soles of the feet start to come off the floor as you rock onto the edges of the feet. When you exhale to come back to center, turn on your core. So the aluminum can, hourglass, top to bottom. Inhale, you can soften, let everything go. And as you exhale, contract your core to come back to center. Inhale to the side. Exhale back to center. One more time, inhaling over to the side. Exhale to come back to center. Let's take the feet and take the feet wide. So you're taking your knees wide and your feet wide. The soles of the feet are on the floor. The heels are on your mat and the toes are off your mat. And if you don't have a mat and you're just resting on your floor, then have your legs spread pretty wide here. We're going to stretch the hip joint, internal and external rotators. And this is an important part of the osteoporosis work. We try to cause a lot of stimulation for bone growth in this part of the pelvis, on the pelvis and in the top of the leg, the femur bone, the leg bone. Taking your hands out to the side, let's inhale, allow the legs to go over to a side, whichever you prefer. You'll feel that stretch on the knee that moves inward towards the center. You're going to feel that stretch on the quadricep, maybe all the way down to the knee and then in the front of the hip. Exhale, the belly button comes down to the spine, and then you inhale over to the other side. Go slow here. Exhale to come back to center and inhale to go over to the side. Exhale to come back to center. Inhale over. Then just go really nice and slow here. You inhale over to a side. You exhale back to center one more time. Inhale over. And let's come back to center. Let's all come over to the left. So we're going to allow both of the knees to fall to the left. When you do this, your soles are off the floor. You're on the big toe edge of your right foot, and you're on the pinky toe edge of your left foot. Then you're going to take your hand, your right hand. You're going to reach your right hand diagonally away from you and just reach it just off the floor. So not up by your ear and not straight out from your body unless you have shoulder issues. If your shoulder doesn't like to be elevated, you know if that's you, then don't lift the shoulder up. But if it feels okay, and then bend the wrist here. So like your spider person, and you're shooting webbing out of your heel of your hand. Reach out of the heel of the hand, and then the right kneecap. Imagine that you're trying to, something is a half an inch in front of that kneecap, and you're trying to push that right kneecap just 1/2 an inch forward. Reaching away. Reach, reach, reach. Take deep breaths down to your belly. Feel that stretch alongside, and then push the heart up towards the sky. So add a little thoracic extension here to really lengthen out of your spine. Feel that stretch along the right side. Take one more breath. And then exhale gently to bring yourself back up to center. Contract the core, push the belly button to the spine. Let's inhale, let the legs go over to the right and bring this stretch into the right side. Left side body, sorry. Take the left hand off the floor, bending that wrist. Same as what we did on the right side. Let the right hand go, let the right leg go. Reach, reach, reach. And then imagine that your left kneecap is going to move 1/2 inch forward as you lengthen it away from you, adding a little more length in that left side body. And then breathing into your belly, push your heart up towards the sky, reach your left hand away. Breathe all the way down to your belly. Feel what's happening in your body. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself back up to center. It's really important to stay in your body here, to really feel what's happening. And I'm not there to see you, to adjust you in physically. I'm here virtually. So to keep yourself safe is really important to me. So be in a place of feeling. Closing your eyes as often as you can will intensify the feeling so you know where the appropriate place is for you to go. Okay, we're going to take our hands, we're going to clasp them behind our heads. Taking the hands behind the head, clasping the hands behind the head. Press the elbows into the floor. Inhale to lift the lower back away from the floor. Tailbone stays on the floor. And as you exhale, contract your core, flatten your low back, lift your upper body off the floor. Elbows are out to the side, gaze is up towards the sky. Inhale to lower. Pressing the hands into the floor at the end of the inhale, let the lower back come away from the floor, and exhale to rise. Inhale to lower. Exhale. Inhale to lower. Exhale, contract your core, flatten the lower back, really press the low back into the floor like crazy. One more time, inhale to lower. And exhale, flatten the low back into the floor, lift the upper body off the floor, stay here. Gaze is straight up towards the sky, lower back is pressing into the floor. Elbows are out to the sides. If you would like, you can inhale, lift your left foot just off the floor, and then lower. Right foot comes off. Keep contraction in your core here. Don't let your low back fly away from the floor if you're taking one leg off at a time. Barely lift the leg off. This is the back of the core now. Psoas deep at work and the transverse abdominis. Important for posture, important for balance. One more. The next inhalation you come to, come all the way down. And then gently bring the knees into the chest. Pull the knees into the chest. Let the low back flatten into the floor. And then let's begin with our first pose, Supta Padangusthasana number 1. This is actually a back bend. Okay to do with gravity allowing the back to stay on the floor. So you're going to grab whatever you have, a towel, a strap. I'm going to use a towel for those of you that have a towel. Let's do left leg first. So I don't want you to lasso your foot. I don't want you to do this. I want you to be able to cut your toenails for as long as you can. I want you to be able to get dressed by yourself, putting your pants on and your undies. So I want you to lift your body up to meet your foot and put this blanket around the foot. And then the key here for osteoporosis is to have a straight knee. So if you can straighten the right leg and keep that left leg straight, try that. If not, you can bend the right leg. So whatever you need to do, you're going to pull the leg towards you and at the same time firming up all the muscles in the left leg and in particular left upper thigh. Press the top left leg away from you. Feel that stretch behind your left thigh. Press the top leg away from you. The left leg away from you. Take one more breath. And then you're going to exhale. You're going to bend that leg. Let's bring the right foot up into the air. Right foot comes up into the air. And then you're going to come into this side. So you're going to straighten the left leg if you have access. If that's available to you, you could straighten the left leg. Left toes are up towards the sky. Press left leg into the floor. You're pulling the right leg towards your body. keeping the knee straight. And I said I was going to offer modifications. Sorry. For those of you without a towel, you could clasp on behind your leg, or you can hold on to your pants to help to try to get that knee straight. Firming up that upper thigh, pressing the upper thigh away from you, and then drawing the right leg towards you. Take one more breath. Go ahead and bend both knees. We're going to come into the second Supta Pada Gustasana number 3, the second pose of Dr. Fishman's 12 poses. So I'm highly influenced by the work of Dr. Fishman, and I've also taught this work for 6 years, since 2014. So I've added a lot of what I believe to be very important for the aging body, and in particular if you have osteoporosis. So these poses are from the 12 pose series. You're going to put your strap around your foot, and then you're going to hold on to your strap. Maybe a little more challenging for those of you with a towel. So having the right knee bent may help here. So we're on the left leg, and you're going to lengthen the left leg out to the left. Usually we put our elbow on the floor. If you have a strap, you could put your floor to keep the weight of the leg up. If you don't have a strap, really pull the leg towards your body, stretching the inner thigh here. If you could straighten the right leg, straighten the right leg. And if it's too much of a challenge, don't. Let the right arm be out to the right. Help counterbalance the weight. Deep breaths down to your belly. 30-second hold. Pressing your foot into the towel or the strap, letting the leg go out to the side. Take one more breath. And then exhale, belly button to spine. Go ahead and bend that left knee. Let's come back up to center, and then let's switch legs. You're going to take the right leg in the strap, right foot. You're going to, when you lengthen out to the side, so you can see me pretty well here on this side. So you don't want your leg to go forward. The leg goes straight out to the side. So when I say forward, don't let the leg go forward that way. I can't go much farther with this towel, but don't let the leg go forward that way. The leg goes out to the side, and the goal is to let the leg to move up towards the wall behind you. Straightening the left leg if you have access to that. Elbow on the floor if you have a lot of range of motion, and most of you won't have that. Might not have, or if you do, that's fine. Let the elbow go out to the side to hold the weight of the leg. Deep breaths down to your belly, really protecting your lumbar spine here. Deep belly breaths. Take one more breath. And then bending the knee to come out, come all the way up. Take the towel, place the towel to the side. Let's let both legs go really long here and reach overhead. So really lengthen your body glove here. Try to point your toes to touch the floor, reaching your hands all the way up. Reach, reach, reach. Get nice and long. And then let's go ahead and bend the knees. We're going to come into the bridge pose. Bridge pose, strengthening the posterior chain, back body. Very important here to not have anything underneath your head. And we don't want the weight of this pose to come down onto the head. So lengthen your head here. You could take your head and feel as if you're directing it backwards or behind you, towards the wall behind you, so that the weight you feel is on the occipital ridge, which is the middle, that bump in the back of the skull. Then the hands are down alongside your body. Walk your feet a little closer to your body. And then from here, you're going to press your belly button to your spine, flatten the low back into the floor. And then press the feet in, just lift the tushy off the floor a little bit. And from here, you're going to try to tuck the shoulder blades closer to the spine. And you roll the arm in the socket. So you tuck the flesh of the upper arm under. And then do the same thing on the other side. Then you're going to move the knees away from you as you lift the weight of the pelvis up. The weight in this pose waterfalls to the top of the back, not to the head or neck. That's very important. You move the knees away from you. You come up as high as comfortably possible. Moving the knees away from you, lifting the weight of the pelvis off the floor. Push your feet into the floor evenly. Feel the heels pressing into the floor. Feel the toes, the pinky toes, the big toes. Lifting up as high as possible. And then if you'd like, you could bend your elbows using the upper arm bone from the elbow on up to the shoulders to help lift the rib cage away from the floor. Lift the rib cage away from the floor. Heart up towards the sky and then towards your face. Adding a curve into the upper back. Deep breaths here. I think bridge pose is one of the most beneficial, powerful, and symmetrical poses for us to do. So I do this in almost every class I teach. Two more breaths here. Of course, if you need to come down, come down. When it's time to come down, let the pressure go from the upper part of the body and see if you could press one vertebra at a time towards the floor. You could come onto your tippy toes when you get around the belly button to try to let the low back touch the floor before the tushy does. This helps to lengthen the low back. And then just let your body rest when you come all the way down. Let all the muscles relax that did that action. So that was the bridge pose, strengthening the posterior chain, muscles of posture and balance. Let's go right into the locust pose, which is a prone position on our belly. So we're going to roll all the way over onto our backs. Onto our bellies. So roll from your back all the way onto your belly. You're going to come into this pose, which is called Sphinx pose, to align your spine. So come onto your forearms, let your elbows be underneath your shoulders, and then lengthen as if you were drawing your heart forward. Reach your heart forward, and with all that length in your body, go ahead and lie all the way down onto the floor. Take your hands, fold one inside of the other, rest the forehead on top of the hands. Bring the legs so the legs are hip distance. So they're only about 3 or 4 inches apart. And then press the pinky toes into the floor. So you get an internal rotation in your leg bones, which happens in the hip joint. And then bring your hands down alongside your body. Let your forehead come to the floor and let your nose touch the floor. Thumbs are touching the body, arms are alongside the body. And then as you inhale, lift your legs off the floor, lift your arms off the floor, lift your upper body off the floor. Rolling your inner thighs upwards towards the ceiling. If your toes were touching the floor, the pinky toe is still pointing down to the floor. Reach your hands away, reach your head away, reach your feet away. Deep breaths. If you want to add on to this, you could bend your elbows. Bring your arms to the side into that scarecrow position. Try to keep your hands and your elbows at the same height. So don't let it be that the elbows are higher than the hands. Keep the hands up towards the sky. Either hands are behind you reaching away, or you come into the scarecrow position. Shoulder blades are sliding towards the spine, helping to support. Reach out of the crown of the head, out of the toes. Take 3 more breaths. At the end of the 3rd breath, take your hands back to that position, one hand on top of the other. Let your forehead rest on the back of the hands. And wiggle your pelvis back and forth, side to side. Like a jello mold. If you shake a jello mold, it would still wobble when you finish. So wobble, wobble, wobble. Let your spine settle here. This will settle the low back, settle the pelvis, settle the bones in the tissue. Then you're going to take your right hand, bring your right hand up away from you, roll onto your right side, bending your knees, put your left hand onto the floor, and push yourself up to seated. Okay. So that was the supine and prone, those 4 poses we just did. Let's move on. So let's take our blanket or our towel, whichever you have, and fold it so that your kneecaps are supported. We're going to come onto all fours for our cat and cow. The important things here is that the wrists, elbows, shoulders are stacked on top of each other. Then you're going to take the hands and you're going to point, your fingers are going to be pointing away from you. So your hands are going to be in this position, not this position. So the pointer fingers are pointing away from you. Hands are underneath your shoulders. And then you're going to try to isolate this movement mostly in the lower torso, from the lower ribs down to the whole pelvic area, lower ribs down to your pelvis. So if you visualize that there's a paintbrush coming off the back of your body, let's begin to paint a big strip of paint up the back wall, letting the low back come into a sway back horse position, reaching your heart forward and opening your throat. Look forward. Tailbone is reaching up the back wall. Throat is open. Head is looking forward. This is extension. This is called cow pose. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, begin the exhale in the belly. So start to crush that can, the aluminum can, like a cylinder in your lower body. Squeeze it in to be an hourglass shape, and then start to push the low ribs up towards the spine. Let the paintbrush or the tailbone paint down the back wall, and then inhale to come into your extension. So trying to keep this range of motion in your lower pelvic area. Inhaling into your extension or your cow pose, exhaling into your flexion. Keeping the flexion in the lumbar area. And then one more. Let's bring ourselves back. Now, I can't see you, so I don't know what's happening there. Knee flexion is a problem for some of you, so some of you have to stay here. For those of you that can sit on your heels, sit on your heels. And we're rolling out our wrists. Let's take the wrist. Let's take the left hand forward. Bend the wrist. Arm is straight. Take the right hand and press the left hand back. Feel that beautiful stretch along the forearm here. And then flip the hand up. We're going to do the same thing with the right. Take the right hand. You bend the right wrist. You take the left hand on the back of the wrist, not the fingers, but on the back of the hand. Keep that hand, that arm nice and straight, and feel that great stretch right here. And then you're going to flex, pulling the hand back, pulling the fingers back. Feel that stretch now. Beautiful stretch here. Important. Pinky toe is the #1 broken bone in the body, and the #2 area where people have the most breaks is in the wrist area. So keeping this nice and mobile and limber, first we strengthened it by weight bearing on it, and now we're stretching it to strengthen the bones of the wrist and also create more play there in case you actually do need to move them in a way that they're not used to being moved. Take your wrists in a circular pattern in one direction and in a circular pattern in the other. Okay, so we're going to come, I usually don't say we're going to come to standing because I don't want anyone to freak out and feel they can't, but we are going to come to standing. So coming here, I'm going to teach you the way that it's taught by the PTs. It's a safe way to allow the calibration of the blood pressure going from one position to the next. So you're going to come forward and you're going to bring a foot forward. So if you know that one stronger leg, bring your weaker legs forward. And the important thing here is the placement. So you don't want the foot to be too close to you. You see how my knee is forward of my ankle? You want your joint stacked. Ankle on top of, knee on top of ankle. Then you're going to flip the back toes under. Take your hands on top of your upper thigh. Inhale, let your body weight come back. And as you exhale, push yourself forward and up. And hopefully that's okay. Okay. So let's grab a chair. It doesn't matter what the chair is. And if you don't have a chair, I'd like you to be back near a wall. And even if you think you have, well, I'm going to let you be the judge, of course, but again, back to the safety factor. When we do these poses and we're up in these poses, there's a different orientation. We have our body in different angles, different weight, and then it's just not what we're used to. So we're challenging our nervous system. So there is a challenge to your balance here. So even if you do have strong balance, it's nice to be near a wall, to be near the end of a sofa or whatever you have. And if you have a chair in front of you. Okay. Another thing is with the standing poses, I'd like you to have to be on your mat. So have your prop near you or bring your mat over to the wall if you've gone back to the wall. So Dr. Fishman did a free webinar last night that was for the coronavirus and for protecting ourselves during this time. It was instructions for yoga teachers and then instructions for our own personal self. And so the standing series he did, 4 of those poses are in his 12 pose series. So I'd like to go through the 4 standing poses that he chose. He actually did 5 poses, 4 in a sequence, and then we did another one. Okay, so let's do what we have time for. Usually my issue is to try to get everything into each class because there's so much to do. Okay, first things first, wide stance. I'd like you to come into a pretty wide stance here. And that's why the chair is important, because if you're worried about your balance, you might begin here. So I'd like us to come into a wide stance. Now, the chair here is good if you have a block, and I've been trying to think about what I could suggest at home. So maybe you have a step stool. If you have a step stool, maybe that could be a block, or for some of you, if you have a block, I'll use it just in case some of you have this. So if we are gonna, for those of you that are pretty flexible in your legs, maybe you can go down with the block. So we're gonna put the block here, and when you bend, I want you to bend your knees when you bend. Don't round your spine to put your block down. I want you to bend your hip joint, load up your leg muscles to put your block on the floor, okay? Your legs are 3 feet apart. We're gonna take our, I'll mirror you, okay? So I'm gonna mirror you. We'll do the right foot first for you guys, because that'll be the stronger side just to get acclimated with whatever situation you have there in your own home. And typically it's the right side's a little stronger and more limber. So you're going to take your right toe off the floor, keep this right leg straight, and then turn the right toes to the right. You're going to take your left toes, put your left toes in the floor, lift your left heel up, and your left heel goes away. Really important here is the foot position. So the left foot, the entire pinky toe edge, strong connection to the floor. Big left toe presses into the floor, and you hit your foot as if you're making a fist. You're trying to make a fist with your foot. So there's a real strong action here in that left foot. And you're going to keep that right leg, take your arms out to the side. We're going to do triangle pose. So as you reach away with your right hand, your pelvis go to the left. Reach until you can't go any farther. You're going to feel a strong stretch in your right inner thigh. And here, you're going to tilt. You could put your hand on the top if this is what you need for you. Or if you have a little bit more flexibility in your body, you can come all the way down onto your block. So choose what's the right position for you, okay? Going down lower doesn't mean better. Make sure your left foot is very active. And then push both feet into the floor. Pull that energy up. Contract your core so you're nice and protected here with your core. And then your tailbone, point your tailbone down to the inner edge of your left heel. If you'd like to turn your palm over your ear, you could reach up and over, reach your left hand over to the right. Keep your chest open, spiral your chest open to face forward. One more breath. Keep your legs straight. Let your core bring you back up. Come back up to center. Bring yourself forward. And we're going to go to the other side. You're going to take your left toes off the floor. Point your left toes away from you. Put your left foot on the floor. Right toes in the floor. Pick up right heel. Move right heel away from you. Arms come out to the side. Lengthening and reaching away with the left hand. And then tilting down. Put your hand on the chair. Sorry, I did not indicate to bring the block over. If you're someone who went on the block and you didn't move your own block over, you can take the back of the hand on the inside of the leg to spiral the torso. If you're going to add the arm, you reach the arm up and over to the left, whichever works for you. Deep breaths. Activate that right foot. Push into the right pinky toe edge. Lift the right arch off and push the right big toe into the floor. One more breath. And then let's go ahead and bring ourselves up. Checking my time to make sure I'm on schedule. Okay. So we're going to go to Warrior 2 now. You're going to take your block away. Coming into Warrior 2, let's come nice and wide. If you're against the wall, you don't have to touch the wall, or you can, depending on what is comfortable for you. Coming into the same foot position. Right toes point away from you. Left heel moves away from you. Activate the. And now we're going to bend that right knee. So you're going to take your right knee, bend your right knee, and then bring your hands up. Make sure your torso is not forward. So this is something I see quite often in class. Bring your torso right on top of your pelvis. And then push your right knee to the right. Push that right knee to the right. Make that left foot nice and active. Look over your right middle finger. Deep breaths down to your belly. Point your tailbone down towards the floor and slightly to your left heel. Take one more breath. And then let's go ahead and straighten that leg, come all the way up. Let's come to the other side. You're going to push your left heel into the floor, pick up your left toes. Left toes are away. Right heel is away. Active right foot, right away. Right pinky toe edge is active. You activate the feet. You bend that left knee, pushing the left knee to the left. So don't let the left knee cave in when you come down. So you don't want to come down with a knee like this. You want your knee pushing out. A really active lateral chain to hold that knee. Come all the way down, pressing your left knee, and then bring your hands up. Look over your left middle finger. This is Warrior 2. Strong warrior pose. Take one more breath. And then let's exhale to come out. Okay. We're going to do side angle. So I will know by your comments on whether or not I'm moving too fast for you. I'm going to allow you all to keeping everything in the same area. So hopefully you're keeping up with me. Take your right toe, point your right toe away from you, and then left heel away. It's the same leg position as Warrior 2. Make sure when you bend your right knee that your body goes straight down and forward. So allow your body to go down as you bend the right knee, push the right knee to the right. Coming into your Warrior 2 hands, bend your right elbow, take your right elbow on top of your thigh, and reach your left arm straight up towards the sky. The right arm is pressing your right leg away. And see the space that I have here? Have space in between your torso and the top of your right thigh. So don't be leaning too close down. Pull yourself away. For those of you that want to go a little deeper, take your right arm, unbend the arm, push the right arm into the inner area. And then if you want to reach your hand up and over, coming into right angle, side angle. Left arch is off the floor. Contract your core, belly button down to your spine. One more breath. And then let's go ahead and bring our hands back up, come all the way up. Let's do the other side. Toes point forward, Left toes are away from you, right heel away. Activate that right arch, bending the left knee, pressing the left knee to the left. Arms come up into warrior two, and then bend the left elbow and tilt your torso, flex laterally, letting your right arm up towards the sky. And then bending as deep as you can in that left leg, keeping that right arch very active and that right pinky toe edge of the foot very active. Adding a pressive force here into hip joint. And then taking the arm, or using the forearm to press that left leg away, you'll feel that inner thigh stretch. These muscles are attached onto the pelvis, creating stimulation in the pelvis. Deep breaths down to your belly. Take one more breath. And then let's go ahead and bring ourselves up and then unbend that leg. Okay, so let's see what that time was. Okay, we're fine. 12 o'clock, right? Perfect. So we're going to go to twisted triangle, I believe to be the most challenging pose in this practice. And so it's really important to me here that you are near a wall for sure, or have your chair. Bring your chair onto the floor in front, onto your mat in front of you. And if you're using surface, I'm going to show you the pose first so you'll see what it is you need. So don't come into the pose. I just want to show you what the pose is so you'll see what you need before I guide you into this, okay? So that's what we're coming to. All right, so you're gonna bring your chair in front of you. You're gonna bring your block. If you're gonna have your block, you see how I'm bending my hip joint here? I'm not rounding my spine to bend down, very important. Bending the hip joint. Bring the block here to the outside of the chair. If you're gonna use it, you may not. And then bring the right foot forward, left foot back. Both feet are pointing forward. That's important here. So you wanna make sure that your feet are not, so your feet are pointing forward. They're not angling out to the sides. Okay, so that's really important. And it's about a 2.5 foot stance here. Really pushing down with that left leg. So you push down with the left leg, contract your core. So like a can, draw the sides in, top to bottom, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Hands are on the waist. Put both feet into the floor and then reach out of your pelvis with your spine. So get nice and long here as you come forward, flexing at the hip joint. You'll start to feel a strong stretch behind that right leg. And then you're going to bring your left hand onto the chair, push the hand down and lengthen here. So use that left hand pushing into the chair to lengthen your torso from the crown of the head to the tailbone. And then push your legs into the floor to pull that power up into your pelvis. Then we're going to add rotation. Start to rotate to the right. So you start to open up your body to the right. Now, for those of you that would like to go down onto the block, there's the block there to go down for the people who want to go lower, but lower is not better. Whatever, the right pose is the right pose for your body. Coming here, pressing the back heel. You can unbend the right arm, or you could keep the hand here, or you could take the back of the hand, place the back of the hand on the sacrum, which is in your pelvis, and open up the shoulder that way. Press the left heel in, press the right. No bend in your knees. Straight legs. Make sure you have straight legs. Contract your core, push your belly button up towards your spine. Tailbone is pointing down to the inner ankle joint of the left leg. Take one more breath. And then to come out of this, let's bend the right knee. Bend the right knee to come out. That'll take away the tension. And then bring yourself forward and up. Okay. And maybe you'll agree with me that that's the most challenging pose so far. So if you're going to make sure you're bending at your hips, if you're going to bring your block to the other side, if you're using a block, take the block to the other side. We'll get ready to do the other side. So let's bring the left foot forward and the right foot about 2.5 feet, looking down to make sure that both of your feet are pointing forward, and that the right foot is not pointing out to the side. Okay, that's important. Hands are on the waist. Press your heels into the floor, all the foot, but especially that back right leg. And as you lengthen, 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 flexing at the hip joint, keeping the spine nice and long, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Bring the right hand onto the chair. When you get the hand there, you're going to lengthen out of that and then rotate, rotate, rotate over to the left. The hand can go out to the side, can remain on the waist, or you could take the back of the hand, place the back of the hand on the sacrum, and rotate open that way. Press into the back edge or the back right heel. Rotate, rotate, rotate. The gaze can be straight in front of you, or you can look down at the chair, whatever feels better for your neck. Take one more breath. And then to come out of this safely, bend that left leg. Take the tension out of the lower body. And then bring yourself all the way up. Okay. Wow. We are moving right along. So I believe we have time for, yes, we do. So we're going to come into tree pose, which is the last pose in the series. We're getting to all 12 of them today. I'm very excited. All right. So with tree pose, you can be at your chair, or a really nice thing to do as well is to be near a wall. So you choose the wall or the chair. We're going to come onto our left foot first. So you're going to look down at your left foot. Important, we want to strengthen our body with proper alignment. So look down at your foot and notice if your foot is straight forward or if it's angled out at all like a duck. So an external rotation. Let me just show you what that means. Foot forward as opposed to this. Quite often I see this is what happens quite often for, especially if you feel uncertain in your balance, is that the legs go out to the side. So the foot is forward, coming onto the left foot, letting the body weight go to the left, come onto your right tippy toes. Coming onto your right tippy toes, let your right knee go to the right, and then bring your right foot in between your knee joint and your ankle joint. And if you'd like, you can bring your right hand out to the side. And if you'd like, you can bring your left hand out. Try to keep the feet, try to stay on one foot. So if you need to touch down, touch with a hand, keep the feet off the floor. This is a lot of compressive force in that hip joint and also challenging your balance. Take one more breath. Bring your hands together and then bring yourself out. So I might have misdirected on the other side. I'm not sure. Sorry if I did. We're coming to the right side now. So you're going to stand on your right foot. Right toes are pointing forward. And then you're going to push your body weight over to the right. So it'll look different. And I'm not mirroring you anymore. And then you're going to grab the floor with your right toes. Come onto your left tippy toes. Bring your left knee out to the side and bring your left foot in between your ankle and your knee. And then you're going to bring your left hand up and your right. Be nice and tall here. If you need a little more balance support, you could slightly bend the right knee joint. That'll help you here. Take one more breath. Bring your hands together. And then let's come out. Perfect. Okay. So the end of class, we are going to come down onto the mat. So if you do have a chair and you'd like to do legs at the chair, this is a great way to release lower back discomfort. It's a nice way to settle the hip joint. And we did a lot of hip work today. So it's up to you if you'd like a chair, and you don't have to have a chair. So these are just options. I'll show it. If you don't have a chair, you won't have your legs on the chair. Okay. And I wish I had essential oils to give to all of you. That's one thing I like to do, is pass out essential oils. So you're going to come down onto the floor. We're going to need a blanket. So a blanket for the back of the head. I have a special song that I always play for my Shavasana, and I cannot not play it for everyone. You're going to come all the way down onto the floor. Remember to reach your hand away to keep yourself nice and safe. You're going to come all the way down onto the floor, placing your legs up on the chair if you'd like. Finding yourself in a really comfortable position. Just let go, let go. Bring your awareness back to your breath. And let the integration of all we just did together in class today sink into your tissues. Bring your awareness back to your chest, your nose. Focus on the breath. start to wiggle your fingers, your toes, your ankles, your wrists. And then contracting your core, bring your awareness to your core. So contract your core to bring your knees into your chest, rocking side to side. And rock all the way onto the right side. Pushing yourself to a seated position. Try to stay with your eyes closed if you can. At the end of practice, we want to close the practice with sound. The sound we're going to use is the sound Om. This is a blending of three sounds. It's the Ah or the A sound, the O sound, and the sound at the end. So we go from an open mouth to a closed mouth with our exhalation. And so Om is a sound, and it's believed to be the primordial sound of life. So you're going to bring your hands together, rubbing your hands together. Sit nice and tall. Let the thumbs touch the sternum bone. Lengthen the back of the neck. Slightly tuck the chin down towards the chest. Let's take a deep breath down to the belly. We bow to each other in namaste. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. I hope that we are all well, we are all safe, and we all find happiness. Thank you so much. Until we meet again.